keep ICE out of hospitals, out of schools, and other safe spaces. So Brooklyn Borough President, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So can we talk about the Nigerian immigrant first, Chidozie Wilson Okeke? Do you know where he's being held right now? Does he have a lawyer?
We don't know where he's being held, and we don't know if he has a lawyer. We don't know what injuries he succumbed to. There's very little information that we have of the detainee that is under ICE control right now.
And what do we know about the main incident? We know there's video showing ICE confronting the man while he was in a car, then he was pulled over. Why did he actually need medical attention?
We also don't know. We're concerned about two scenarios that could be very problematic. One is that he was injured when he was first being arrested and then spent hours without medical care and then got it eventually when he went to Wyckoff, or that he got injured while he was in custody under ICE and then had to come to Wyckoff Hospital. Either one is very concerning about the treatment of detainees under ICE control.
And the community found out almost immediately that he was being detained and was taken to that hospital. Have they been tracking ICE agents in some sort of an attempt to prevent unlawful detentions?
Yeah, we have ICE Watch is what we call it in Brooklyn. So we have folks that are paying attention to unmarked vehicles that look like they are not from the community or have been there too long. When an ICE agent comes out with his vest on, we know that they're around. And then we get notifications through channels that make it very clear where they are. And we try to show up and protect anyone that's being harassed by ICE.
Right. And then with this incident, we have the NYPD involvement here. They say they were responding to the large crowds of protesters that gathered outside of Wyckoff. They said they were responding to 911 calls. They were trying to make sure that the ambulances could make their way in and out. But where do you think things crossed the line?
They were doing their job until the end of this protest, in which they helped ICE bring the detainee out, escort him into the vehicle, open the door, close the door in the vehicle, and then rush them out. That's not NYPD's job. That's ICE's job. NYPD keeping the crowd under control and making sure everyone is safe is deeply important. But what they did in assisting ICE in making sure that they were managing the right of way for the detainee to get into the vehicle and then helping close the door and open the door for ICE, that's not something that they need to be doing. And I just think that the mayor's office and the police department just need to be clear about what protocols are, so that the protesters or the people that are viewing them, plus the police officers, know exactly what they're able to do and what they're not able to do.
Yeah, I mean, the NYPD is still being very adamant that they are not coordinating with ICE. You did mention the mayor. This is what he had to say about the incident. We'll listen to what he had to say and then talk about it on the other side.
We are going to continue to actively examine what our response protocols are when ICE is present to ensure that we're handling these situations appropriately, and we're doing so in a manner that's consistent with our local laws and our values as a city.
So, Borough President, what have your conversations been with the mayor about what happened, if any?
I haven't talked to the mayor about this issue. I have talked to the police commissioner. The issue here is not the coordination that happened on the front end. They're saying right now that ICE did not contact the department, that the department has not reached out to ICE as they got to Wyckoff. It's after they got to Wyckoff, there were 911 calls about a crowd gathering, and they showed up, is what they're saying. We need to make sure that that's the truth and that we get to the bottom of whether or not there was any coordination. The problem we have is what happens when ICE is in a hospital. And the problem that we have is that now we have people that could have a kid with a broken arm whose mother doesn't want to take them to Wyckoff Hospital because they're undocumented. This happens all the time when we see it in schools and lower enrollment, or folks or kids not showing up to school because they're afraid that they're going to be deported. That's what a sanctuary city does. It protects against basic rights that everyone should have and ensures that they're not going to be reported to ICE. Now we see them in one of our local hospitals, and it changes the entire culture of this city. Now we have immigrants and undocumented immigrants that don't want to show up to basic necessary service and essential services that could save their lives in fear of deportation.
Right. With much of this here centering around Wyckoff Hospital, what are you hearing from the staff and personnel? How do they feel about ICE agents being there on that property and even in some cases maybe staking out that property?
They were very upset. They say that the disruption inside the hospital is very damaging and alarming, They're not big fans of it. They know that there could be a patient in a room that wants to leave in fear that they're going to be the person that they're being tracked off for ICE. These are the type of things that happen. We had a doctor that actually came in and said that his number one priority is doing no harm and keeping people safe. And that job becomes a lot more difficult when we have federal agents roaming hospitals or being in and around hospitals. So we want to make sure that ICE is nowhere near New York City at all, but definitely not in these spaces that are like sanctuaries for us.
But you're confirming, though, that they are there. It wasn't just a one-off. This wasn't just this one incident, that they are outside the hospitals.
So what we're noticing through our information is that in North Brooklyn specifically, there's been a significant increase in ICE agents moving around and roaming around the neighborhood, which includes in and around Wyckoff and Woodhull Hospital and things like that. What we want to do is keep them out of those locations and let the public know you can still go into Wyckoff Hospital. We've been talking to its leadership, and they said they do not coordinate in any way, shape, or form with ICE. And that they can come in and there's no reporting that happens. And we want to bring that confidence back to the community because these essential services are deeply important and we don't want anyone losing their lives or being hurt because of an incident like this.
Right, because they're hesitant to get that medical attention. Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso, thank you so much for your time and being with us today.
Thank you for your time.